Hello and welcome to the Sweaty the Farmer and the Game Design, where we pledge allegiance to the mighty Spinach lore. This is episode number 4. The devil is in the details. I am the long name gamer as Sweaty.
And I am the Lucho the farmer. Thanks for joining us this episode. This week we'll be diving deep into the lessons the industry have or should have learned from Diablo 3.
Yeah, because they quite not do it. But before that, take a look at the news. So what is the first docket in the news, my friend?
So Destiny's 2 PC transfer is already available.
Cool. So you should go there, transfer your stuff from... They're abandoning the old Blizzard, transfer your stuff to the other side. Everything's gonna go...
Just getting ready for the Steam release in October.
Yeah. Gotta be good and dandy. They give you the option super easy. It's like 4 clicks and that's it.
Yep.
And that's it. That's just like a nice announcement, a public service announcement. For our next news, Lucho, tell me about this, because
I told you about this. I don't know. You told me that you haven't played Homeworld, which is like a classic RTS set up in space.
All right.
And basically Homeworld 1 and 2. 1 came, I think, in 99, and 2 was like 2003.
Yeah.
Or something around those times.
Yeah.
And people been waiting for Homeworld 3 for the longest time now, and it's coming. It got announced this week, I think today, this morning, or yesterday.
All right.
And that's huge for, I guess, for the RTS community. Like, I'm a big RTS fan.
Cool. So
I'm really looking forward for this. I'm excited.
Oh, he's excited
RTS
about
in
it.
Space.
Oh my God, he's excited about it. Oh, spaceship everywhere, guys.
Yeah, like the modding community for Homeworld 2 is huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, people are excited.
Cool.
I'm hyped. Let's hope everything goes smoothly. We don't know anymore these days.
Yeah.
Or these big launches. It's like a super hype thing because people have been waiting for more than a decade now.
Jesus, it actually looks pretty cool, man.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer, you should take a look. It looks pretty cool. It's RTAs with spaceships.
It's classic RTS like StarCraft and that sort of stuff, like very classic RTS with spaceships, or
it's not. I mean, yeah, like it's basically a lot of resource management and killing stuff and like setting groups of units, and you give them orders like go kill the thing with this setup or something like that, and it's a lot of resource management, which is basically what pretty much any RTS is.
That is true. It's a resource.
So basically you have like a mother chip.
It's for Gearbox.
Where you can build and research or ships and like have a technology tree that you can research on. And you build chips that do different things, and it's pretty cool. I really like it.
Cool. It looks very interesting.
Yeah,
it looks
I guess if you're
like something
an RTS fan.
I am. I play yes, I like RTS. You know that I love Dawn of War.
Yeah,
it's
you should.
My love.
And actually think there is a bundle for Homeworld 1 and 2 in Steam. I think it's like $5.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
So maybe you could.
Cool.
Take a look to the classics.
Nice. That is nice. That is a nice. It looks very nice franchise.
It's really good. I enjoy it. I recommend it.
I will look forward to it now that I know about it. That I should be.
Yeah.
For some reason I have heard it somewhere. Like as soon as you tell me Homeworld 3, I'm like, I think I've heard about that game. I think maybe I played some of them and I don't remember. I played so many games through the years that I forget some of them.
Yeah, it's a classic game. I thought it was really well known, maybe at least in the like hardcore RTS community. It's one of the standards.
Yeah.
And it has a spaceship, so
It has
Star
a
Trek, Star Wars.
spaceship. It's in a space.
It's in space. I like space.
All right. We
I like
like
sci-fi.
space. Space is nice. All
I like
right.
science.
For next news. Apparently, World of Warcraft Classic was an enormous success of launch, and
That's not news.
it took back. No, that's not the part of news. It took back Blizzard because they didn't thought they were having so many people playing at the same time. So there was like huge clog into servers. People had been getting like kicked out of them. Huge queues. Even people like to the point that they were actually like inside the game. This was really cute. Actually, like forming queues inside of like by quest givers.
Yeah.
So they can all organizedly get the queues of the quest giver, and like Blizzard didn't like, expect it. Look at that. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah,
Looks,
I know.
man. What a crap. It was hugely blown up, and Blizzard was like, oh, really? It did good? Oh my god, we cannot believe it.
I think that's BS. Like they knew. Like
they knew.
they've been actually talking for the longest time about the servers and how they're gonna manage it, and it's been talked about like quite a lot actually.
Yeah. But the thing is, like at the end, I thought like today I heard something like they prefer not to give too many servers. There's a reason why they didn't give too many servers to the actual game, to the actual release of the game, even if it was chaotic, because their point was like, if we give you a bunch of servers in a few months where the hype dies down and everybody has done the majority of things, you'll have a bunch of empty servers.
Yeah.
Because people will move on. So it's better for you to have just these two servers. They started with one, and then they one per region, and then they open another.
Yeah, they even said that when they announced WoW Classic in BlizzCon, like in the day of the announcement, that said, don't expect that you're gonna launch with a bunch of servers because it doesn't make sense. It's gonna die down. So,
but still, it was like a big launch. Has a bunch of view for streamers. It was
still
like
make the news. Well, so here we are.
What? Yeah, it made the news.
So here we're talking about
exactly.
Still works.
So it was big. It was not worth it, and yeah, it was nice. It was like, it's interesting. Like coming, I never played World of Warcraft. I remember no, that's not wrong. I played World of Warcraft once in one of those old pirate servers. Do you remember that?
Private servers. Yeah, me too.
Because it was like you don't have money to pay the subscription fee stuff. Yep. I'm actually surprised that this perk wasn't free.
I mean, it is free if you own already a subscription for
the classic,
for the regular Warcraft.
Yeah, for the regular World of Warcraft. But I'm actually like, that is not free. Just this, like the first, just like the original World of Warcraft should be free. But yeah, it's not free. So I tested in a private server back in the day with, I think, Burning Legion expansion was when I played.
Yep.
And I played for a little bit, and like it was cool, interesting to just kind of learn. But it has like a bunch of normal mechanics and questing, and I think what I found most interesting back in the day, what I found most interesting is exploring places, because you for some reason, I haven't feel this in many games, but you feel the scale of the world in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it feels like a huge world, and it's gonna take a bunch of time to explore it into.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the, like, beyond mechanics and everything else. That's the thing that I found more interesting about the game.
I think that's true for a lot of people, like getting lost into the world of World of Warcraft, like just walking around or riding around, like getting to explore and find all the things in a region.
Yeah.
I like I also played in private servers, And I actually have played in the I paid a subscription for a time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I enjoy the most is actually going to a new region and getting the achievements for finding all the things in the region.
So you just explore the little cave,
Yeah.
just explore.
Just go discover thing.
Yeah.
That's
And I
pretty cool.
think that was very cool back in the day when I played the fan of exploration. And it's weird because we don't have many games that gives you that feel right off the bat of a huge war, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? It's
You know what other game gave me that sensation once before?
Tell me about it.
Ragnarok Online.
Ragnarok on. Oh my god. Okay.
Did you ever play that game?
Nope.
It's another MMORPG.
All right.
But I think this is a nation MMORPG. I don't remember where.
Old. Yeah.
It's very old. Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't have a nice experience with another game where you feel the thing. There were all these other games that we play. I don't know, Diablo and what is the other one? Destiny and Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter, you kind of feel it, but you are kind of condensed to these small regions.
Yeah.
But in World of Warcraft, it's is that feeling of oh, I see a mountain. I can walk to that mountain.
Yeah.
Right? And I can actually climb that mountain, even if it's very far away, right? Skyrim is the only other game that gets close to this sensation, but Skyrim is a solo adventure, right?
Yep.
And it gives you kind of a similar sensation when you are in Skyrim and you're like, oh, I see that mountain, I can walk to that mountain and get there and climb it. That's nice, right? You want the sense of exploration. But the difference is World of Warcraft made it in a real way because there's more people while you're exploring and you have a lot more chances to these encounters and to people, to either you PvP or if you roleplay, either way. That's the charming of World of Warcraft, I think, at the end of the day. Most of, beyond the thing about raiding and questing and that, those things have been already, our experience that already been polished and done in other types of games. But the sensation of have this huge war and go anywhere and then have these encounters is really, really charming. I don't know if Final Fantasy 14 does this.
I don't know. I've never played Final Fantasy 14.
Me neither. It's supposed to be that was another disaster of launch and they relaunched it and now it's better. Anyways. Yeah. But yeah, that's the news. World of Warcraft, huge release as expected.
Yep.
Nobody's surprised about it, but still everybody was surprised about it.
I think that's more of a PR movement for Blizzard. Oh, we didn't know. We are so flustered. Nah. They knew. Everyone knew it was gonna be big.
Everybody knew. Yeah. Everybody knew. So how about that? The first.
Yeah. So more news about WoW Classic is that someone already hit max level 60 on World of Warcraft, which is insane.
79 hours of non-stop grinding. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it took him like in real time, it took him 3 days and 20 hours, something like that. And the most amazing thing apparently is that he leveled up mostly playing solo and by killing mobs.
What? He didn't So he won the proper by quoting a very famous South Park episode, he went to kill boars infinitely.
Basically, he went to a region in the world and he was just killing mobs with AoE spells because he's a gnome mage. Wow. He leveled up that way, world first. That's pretty cool.
The lengths that people go to do this.
Yeah. And
well, congrats for the achievement, but
it's a pretty nice achievement to have.
But it doesn't
World
sound
Classic, world first.
Yeah.
And now everyone has eyes on who's gonna complete the classic raids first. Who's gonna get the
so they're gonna go for the all race of World. What is the first raid in World of Warcraft? Do you know, Lucho?
I think Molten Core is one of the first ones, and everyone is talking about Molten Core, and I forgot the name of the other one. Bab, 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 bab. It's escaping my mind.
Okay, so Molten Core is the first raid, and where is it in the world?
Oh, it's on a zone like northeast of Stormwind, but you
Yep.
cannot access it through Norwind. Like you have to pass through like some caves, and it's like super high level things.
Okay.
But it's like in the world is right next to Stormwind, and if you can fly, like nowadays that you can fly,
Yeah.
you can just fly over the mountains. You cannot
Yeah.
walk past the mountains, but you can fly over the mountains. It's just right there.
All right.
And it's fun because Molten Core is a raid that is inside a dungeon.
Oh, and is that like weird for World of Warcraft?
That's kind of unique because they don't put them like that in. Like basically, you get to a dungeon, you kind of have to, in principle, the way to do is beat part of the dungeon and then access the raid.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of hidden.
Now I understand. Yeah, it's weird. It's not like you're going to a raid and then you go to this place and just you are in the raid, but it's like you go to a dungeon and then through the dungeon you get into the raid. Yeah. All right, cool. So now the race is who's gonna complete war first.
Yeah, the first raid. Let's see who.
Oh my god, this like I think Blizzard has been like milking this cow for like so long, man. 15 years, I think it is.
Whoa, Onyxius is the other one. I almost forgot.
Onyxius. All right, there you go.
Yeah, came to my mind. Yeah, but WoW is I think like not classic, but just regular WoW nowadays. It's has a huge amount of content, and it has something for everyone. I feel like you can like there are communities of people who only care about cosmetics, and they run all raids and all content just to farm cosmetics, for example.
Yeah.
Because you can do that solo most of the time for like old content. So
yes.
So you can do that and just collect stuff, which I think is pretty cool.
Like, interesting. Yeah.
Or you can be like a hardcore raider and have been in a clan guild thing.
I think
every week.
One of the most interesting parts of I remember back in the day when I was exploring if I wanted to get like the things like back in the day when I was trying to like get close to World of Warcraft in their expression when it was like the boom of World of Warcraft. It was like I was trying to like, but first I couldn't play a subscription, so I was like, except to provide servers, which was pretty sad, but that's life. So I was thinking like, oh, this is a game that I will like to explore because I find it like really interesting exploring the world, just seeing the world. And I remember I have very fondly memories of like starting the game playing a Blood Elf.
Yeah.
Right. And these places like very beautiful back in the day. Right. I'm talking like 2005, something like that, 6. Back in the day, when we only have the Burning Crusade, taking this Blood Elf and going to explore these like magical, strange places, and then kill stuff, and then you get like you use your abilities, and then you have this wisp and all the lore behind it, even if they're like huge wall of text.
Yeah.
But it was like the atmosphere and the places were so interesting that I took a second to like read whatever they were giving me into the lore, especially for the Blood Elves, right? The Blood Elves were very interesting to explore back in the day. And I was like, I would love to play this game, like very invested. And like I remember that I spent like a considerable amount of time playing in this private server. And like if and then I was thinking back in the day, like if I ever get into this game, I probably do it for like role play. Like actually going to a roleplay server and do the proper
to get into a roleplay server. I never did that. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing because I was like, that sounds actually interesting to do in this context of the game and check out the systems and and roleplay as a proper blood elf and do the whole thing when you talk weird and in character. And I think that was the aspect that I wanted to explore.
I never thought about it. I've never been interested in role playing that way. Like I do like role playing games, like tabletop role playing.
Yes.
But I never considered going to a role playing server. I guess, yeah, it will be interesting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's very interesting. And like
never thought about it.
And that's another aspect that the game actually like offers you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're into that, you can go to a role playing server, abide by the community rules, and go role play to a content of your heart.
and I'm finding it because more of the community rules is like there's some communities that have like strict rules about mountains, about fast traveling, and then you actually have to like go there. And if when you are talking with another player, you have to like abide for this very like in-roll rules, blah blah blah, and you have to have certain predisposition to certain factions and that sort of stuff. Super interesting. That was the side of World of Warcraft that I was exploring back in the day when I started experimenting in the day. And I think that's part of the longevity of the game. Not only the interesting mechanics and encounters and everything that I design around the game and that sort of stuff, but the actual sense of exploration that they give you. I think that's very cool.
I think the success of WoW, it's that it has something for a lot of people. Like it can pleases a wide variety of players. Like So yeah, I think that's where the longevity lies for WoW, which I think is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And for the last news of the week, some terrible news about the industry, because apparently gaming wants to become casinos, right? So let me talk about this. What happened is NBA 2K 2019-2020 is coming out, right?
As usual.
This part, as usual. But they're essentially marketing gambling to kids. The trailer has actually slot machines on it. And the IG rating, the SRB rating is for 3-year-olds and up.
For everyone, yeah.
Yeah, for everyone. So basically they put in like all these gambling mechanics, actual slot machine, actual roulettes. There's like this very blatantly like trailer, very sad, when it's like, and they're like unapologetic about it. They already took down the trailer with all this because of the backlash of the people. And like imagine. It's super tone deaf at this point, because we're in the midst of like heavy legislation of loot boxes, heavy watchful eye onto the actual industry of what they're doing with these loot box mechanics, with gambling mechanics, what's the correlation, because we've been having like a bunch of testimonies about kids spending like all their income money, the entire income money of their parents in like Fortnite stuff and in different in FIFA packages, in like actually like getting families into debt because of it. So yeah. They just come like unapologetics and just like, there you go. We're gonna have like gambling mechanics for 3-year-olds. What are we doing something wrong? They're not gambling mechanics, they're surprise mechanics, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Lucho?
I think that I'm old enough to know that I don't have to spend, that I shouldn't be spending my money on loot boxes.
Yeah, I know, right? But what happened with little Timmy? The 6-year-old.
I'm not little Timmy's father.
Yeah, the 6-year-old little Timmy, that's 6 years old, and his dad wants to buy him a nice basketball game. And his father is not super knowledge in the gaming community, and he just exposes his little kid to a lot of gambling mechanics.
I guess don't give him money. Like, you shouldn't be giving money to a 3-year-old.
Yeah, but the problem of these things is that you generally make like accounts for their family or whatever, and they always ask for your credit card information. In these kind of payments, they're halfway, like kind of automatic, like 2 clicks and then you're done, right? So a lot of these cases
I
is that, right? Is that like you're a busy parent and then you have your information, your credit card information on your cell phone or in your console, and then you give the control to your kid to have him entertained for like 2 hours, and then your kid starts finding like gambling mechanics everywhere, and then he just automatically purchases stuff because they're just
I guess.
there.
I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. I agree with what you're saying, but to play devil's advocate, like, don't these accounts have like child filters and protections? For purchases, you have to use a 2-factor authentication or something like that.
Some of them are, some of them they have, but not.
I would get like, okay,
No.
even the university that I study at,
Yeah.
like, I'm required to have, like, the professors are required to use 2-factor authentication to log in into everything. So, and it's not like
they don't believe in your professor. It's like, no, you're not real.
no,
I'm sorry.
it's for security, you know. It's
Yes, of
like
course,
not,
of course,
it's
of course.
harder for people to tamper with the grades and stuff like that.
But think about it, like not everybody is literate enough to like actually do a proper like a child setup, or not every console has like a proper child setup, or if you just lend your cell phone to a child to keep it entertained, or a tablet, right?
I agree. I'm just saying that if they're gonna put it because they are entrenched in doing it, like they're fighting to put these things on, they should provide the tools for people.
It should not be for everyone to start with, right?
Yeah, to start, it shouldn't be for everyone. Agree.
Yeah.
And they also should provide like all these mechanisms to, because if I mean, honestly, if you think about it, if you think that they're playing like on family accounts and stuff like that, and you are the parent, you can still buy the game, even if it's rated mature and you're an irresponsible parent and you let your kids play it. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
I know what I'm saying. I know what you're saying.
Like,
but
the rating doesn't discourage.
The problem here is you don't allow kids to get into casinos because gambling has serious psychological implications, right?
Yeah.
And you now are selling casinos to little kids in their TVs, basically.
True, but okay, then what about all the gambling advertisement that it's on TV all the time? Like,
gambling advertisement on TV all the time.
Like on TV, you get ads for like lottos and stuff like that. Like, play the blah 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 lottery and blah blah. And they're passed, like they're transmitted on prime time on TV. Like,
yeah. I understand what you're saying, but you don't have like direct exposure to the actual gambling, right? If you see an ad, it's like, okay, right? But this is like
fair.
Putting a kid in front of a slot machine and let him like go ahead, go at it.
Sure.
Right, and that like has like serious psychological, but like
don't have kids. That's my point.
I will agree with that point. Don't have kids. I second the point. Please stop.
and if you want to you have to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have kids, you make sure that you have the time to take care of them.
Anyways, we are not gonna go here because anyway, too controversial. Too controversial.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Like, I'm not saying that I condone it.
You like the old devil's advocate game, right?
Yeah, I do enjoy it. But I agree. Like, the solution is easy. They should stop putting loot boxes in games.
Which, yeah, That's what
That's
should happen, right? That's it, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the solution.
Yeah, that's the solution. Stop being greedy, motherfuckers. Start try to like actually like force gambling mechanics into very young and uh uh minds in development that can be like that can like generate a bunch of like psychological problems in the future. Please don't do it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it. And that's about it, right? With that said, we're gonna move into our main topic,
Yes,
into what
yes,
I
we
did.
are
But before, we have a little disclaimer for audiences. Uh,
for all our listeners.
all of them. We love you. We know that you're out there listening to us in the bus, in the train, walking home, doing gym, whatever you do in the mornings.
Yep.
The discussion here is based on our opinions and our own in game experiences. We are not aiming to be game journalists at any point. We do a little bit of research to, like, sometimes that we don't know quite sure or we want to clarify, but overall, what we talk here on the podcast, which is the point of the podcast, is our own feelings and game experience, and we experience through the game and we give it to you as the opinion. Yes.
Yep.
That makes sense, right?
It makes complete sense. It's for the most part based on our experience playing these games.
Yes. So, today in our deep dive, we will take lessons the game industry should learn about Diablo 3 and Reaper of Souls. They should have learned it a long time ago. They should have done it. I don't know.
They should. They should.
Yeah. So, first important lessons that the industry should have learned about Diablo 3 is never take back decisions that your players love. And this is like, oh my God, please learn this, please learn this. If like something like if you get something, it's like if I give you something nice like a hot cup of like a chocolate, right? I mean, this, and then I tell you, like, you can have this bar of chocolate, and then when you bite it and you eat it, it's like, oh, very nice bar of chocolate, and then suddenly I just like slap you on the hand, no more chocolate for you. And you're like, no.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's worse than that, because that sounds like if it is a one at a time thing.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can let it slide. But no, it's like you let the door open to a candy shop.
Yes.
It's more than that, and it's related to how loot works, basically.
Yeah, basically. So the story comes to that back in the day when Diablo 3 was launched, before Reaper of Souls. It was before Reapers? No. It was like when Reaper of Souls launched, they did this overhaul to the entire item system, right? But there were still being like very few loot drops through the game that were actually like powerful legendaries and that sort of stuff, right? And then at the, I think it was like at the 2 years anniversary or something like that.
Yeah, at some point
it was an event of an
between the
anniversary.
release and an anniversary. It was something special. They did a weekend of raid ups. I think it was basically
double loot for everything, and then people love it. People love it. People were playing a lot more Diablo 3. People were like, yes, this is great. We love that we are giving proper loot. And the thing about like a lot of the loot in Diablo 3 back in the still is a little bit like, it was a little bit trashy, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is like they were giving you bad experiences on the loot that you have. You got like these loot drops for a class that you were not using, or these loot drops that were not useful at all for you. And this double loot drop weekend fix that, because you have like a lot more chances to actually get. So you don't mind if you get near misses or like trash items, because you get more loot, so you get more chances. You want to play more. So that's the lesson that we should learn. And
yeah, but there's another subtlety of that story, and it's that however they announced the double loot weekend or whatever they were doing,
Yep.
it wasn't apparently that clear that it was gonna be like a weekend thing, like a one
Yeah,
thing
it was just like
only.
they just boosted, and then people
They
thought that
just
it was
boosted it.
permanent.
Yeah, and when they realized that people were thinking that it was gonna be permanent, they just left it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like we're not gonna go back in this. Like,
Oh yeah. people
it's a
people just
really
love
bad
it.
idea.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You can keep it.
just keep it, yeah, or bad, which is the smart decision. You're
Yes. Yes, definitely. Yeah, if you have something that your players love and it's like, oh yeah, this is great, keep it going, blah blah blah, and they give you praises and great feedback, and everybody's happy.
yeah,
I think you should revise and say, yeah, figure out that it's not the case all the time, right? Because sometimes they go to extreme for these events, but the majority of times you can just keep it on one form or another, right?
yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that this has to be like if you do an event and then it was huge successful, you are not like forced to keep it, but you should keep it one way or the other in that shape, right? And then we go back to
You
like
should, yeah, you should at least, like, if you run an event that is successful, you should think of a way of bringing it back so that people can enjoy it in a more permanent way, I guess.
yeah.
That would be my idea. Like,
Yeah, this case was like the extreme. It was so well
yeah.
received, like that. But
And,
why?
and for a game like Diablo, where like loot is the core of the game,
Yes,
you cannot take away loot from the player.
that's correct. That's
a no.
It's a no. It's a no.
Yeah.
But because the industry hasn't learned this, we have an example that the industry hasn't learned this. It has still have to learn it. And we're talking about an old pal Anthem.
Yep.
So it was like
know this story better than me.
The second week of release, when they patched the first time the game, they did a patch, a small balance patch. They did something to the servers, and then all loot drops got increased, right? And everybody was happy for an entire week, and it was like, oh yeah, legendaries are actually dropping for me. I actually want to go do this this run, and I actually want to go do this activity because there's actual legendaries, and yeah, they're crappy, yeah, they had terrible rolls, but it doesn't matter, we're giving you more, so it doesn't matter. So there is, right, there is the thing, right? You have like more drops, even if they're crappy. You have so many drops that it doesn't matter. You can
pick and choose.
Yeah, exactly. You can pick and choose. You can become materials to do more drops, and it doesn't matter because he actually fuels you, and you want to keep playing to keep rolling that die, right?
You can engage more with all the systems.
Exactly.
With the crafting, with selling stuff, with picking the role that you want in your gear. Like it just gives you a window to really engage with the system.
And they turn it off.
Yeah. Big no.
And everybody and their moms hated this. Like everybody and their moms hated this. And it was like 2 weeks after release, man. How do you do this? Why? Where your community was already telling you that the loot drops were too meager, that your roll that they were too meager because the random rolls that you could have into the game were too random, so you need more loot drops to like off-put that randomness. Like nobody, like you don't, like the players weren't caring about the randomness of the drops, because you can do like weird builds with the random drops because the table was so big. You can have like a bunch of gears all based on luck, or you can have a bunch of gears all based on farming resources. It was super weird. Or you can have like a bunch of rolls in certain type of ability, so you can like juice that up, and it didn't matter. Like the actual table of drops didn't matter. The problem was like the drops were so few and far between that it was terrible when you got one, right? Like there's two extremes to this system, right? You either got very rare drops like exotics, right? But the rolls on those drops has to be like, the majority of the rolls has to be like very good. So when you find the item, no matter what it is, because it's so rare, it's gonna be useful in one shape or another, right?
Yep.
That way you can keep that low drop chance, and then you get the feeling that when you get that rare chance, it's super rewarding, right? In one drop. Or you have the other stream when you have a lot of drops, right? And what you're looking for is good rolls, right? So the moment when you get
Yep.
that satisfaction on the drop is when you find that piece of item, which is like almost nearly god roll,
Yep.
right? And they decide not to take any. Any of the two
Sadly.
approach. And that's my second lesson for the industry. More loot is always good in general. Don't be afraid to be generous with your players, right? Don't be afraid to break something sometimes, because you can find those happy places when your player base is going to be happy, when you are going to be happy, when they're gonna get what they want. And this is like one of the, talking about again Anthem, because it's the perfect example that the industry haven't learned about this, is that you can be very generous with your players, right? In one shape or another. Either like Destiny does it in a very particular way, where they give you a lot of loot now, but back in the day in vanilla, when they were when the drops weren't that, when the sources of loot were that high, they actually give you curated rolls, which is a system that they kept. So they kept part of this system, of the stream system, with the randomness system, right? So you have like certain entities that give you a guaranteed feel good legendary drop, and then you have the other system with a bunch of random rolls that you can actually farm and like get a lot of drops, right?
Sure.
Yeah. But you and they created that curated system exactly for this. Don't be afraid to be generous on your games. You see that the community is constantly complaining about your drops. It's constantly complaining about your items, which is ridiculous. Please turn it up. They were like very afraid about like, and like, man, if you make your players happy, and this is the secret, if you make your players happy, they're gonna put up with a lot of stuff.
That's definitely true.
Right?
look at Diablo 3. We
Look
put
at
up
Diablo
with
3,
Diablo
man.
3 vanilla.
Yes, please. So that's the point. Like, like back Diablo 3 was like super hardcore game. People don't like it, blah blah blah. But then they started to like better drops, better loved items, and they start making their community happy. And now we are in like 10 years of Diablo. No, not 10 years. 7 years of Diablo 3 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the community is still there. They're still happy. They're still playing the game. They're still happy with the changes they're going. They're still engaged, right?
They don't have the largest community or player base, but it's very constant, and like
very
you
healthy.
always see the people like coming back to a game at the beginning of each season.
Yes.
Going through the wheels, going through all the stuff, and
consuming all that content that it comes out. It's very active. Yeah, it's there. It's that the community is there, still giving,
which is the important thing. Like you need to have that core community that whenever you release something different, Diablo 4 or whatever,
they're there.
You can move the core of your player base there, and they're gonna support you no matter what, I guess.
Exactly. But you cannot like slap it in the face as Anthem did so many times. Like violating is to like very, very core rules about about loot and feel good, and like it's ridiculous. Like it's not a difficult decision. They were afraid that they didn't have that much variety. So if they give you a lot of items, you will be bored. Which is which is true, but it's not actually true, right?
It is. I mean, you could argue that then the mistake was to have too little variety on the itemization itself.
Yeah, that is true. But there is a fix to this, because we are talking about like constantly evolving games, right? So what you will gain, like in my point of view, if I was like in Church of Anthem, I would probably leave the loot drop as it is, and this will gain me a bunch of good karma in the community, right? I don't care if my casual gamers will be reduced, right? But my core audience will still be engaged because this will still be looking for that gold roll. They will still be running stuff. They will still making builds, and all of this will give me it will give me time to develop new items for them, right?
Yeah.
And good karma, and it will give me patience. It will buy me a lot of good time to have time to fix the game in case that I'm afraid, like beating that fallacy of like they're gonna grow bored too quickly with the game, right?
I mean, that they will. That's not wrong. Like, but that's fine. Like, you're gonna have a
fine.
peak of players at the
Yeah.
beginning. They're like either visiting the game because it's new, or they're just coming back to the franchise. In Diablo's case, for example,
Yeah.
and it's gonna dwindle down, and you have to expect that. But you have to. I don't want to say that you have to cater to your core audience, but like you have to keep them always in mind and know who's your target audience.
Yeah, because that's the thing about these games. They like as I see, and I tend to see this trend in these kind of games where they are like they have peaks and valleys all the time, right? They have like
All
peaks
the
of
time.
like
That's normal.
release
It's not
game, blah blah
new.
blah, and then they valley release. But the important thing is that you keep those valleys not too low, right? And there is where your core audience is.
Yeah.
When the only thing
You
that
have
is
to know
left,
your target
yeah,
and your target audience, and I guess cater to them and just keep them happy.
yeah,
And
but Anthem did shoot himself in the face and then eat the bullet and then shoot again in the face because he forgot that shooting in the face.
to be honest, for me, one of the most disappointing things from Anthem
Yeah,
was that the weapons look all the same. Like
that's another problem, man.
but that's like that on top of stat wise they were also not that different, so it really feel all too samey.
Yeah.
So that drew me away quite fast.
Yep.
I dropped the game like after a week, and
Yeah.
I canceled my subscription.
Yeah, we all did.
You bought the game.
I did
No,
buy
that's
the game.
different.
Yeah, the pre-release.
I never bought the game.
I did burn. I did burn dollars in the wind.
Yeah, I only paid a subscription to the EA thing.
Yeah.
And I canceled it after I said, no.
It was sad, man. So sad.
I know.
Remind me.
I will always remind you because you told me about the game.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I am culpable. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
So yeah, please learn these lessons. Please look at what of this. Don't be afraid to be generous in the ways that you can be in your games. Don't be afraid to keep your core audience happy. They will pay you in droves when the hard times comes and there is not much content to go around.
Yeah, just you should build good karma for when the times are dire.
Yes, exactly.
That's
that's the takeaway. Yeah.
Yep.
So the next lesson that Diablo 3 teach to the world of looters in general: items 2.0, set items and their power. So in all the drop, like when they were having this discussion in Diablo 3, where apparently some of the not rare uncommon items. Some of the uncommon items were more powerful than legendaries.
Yep. Yep. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. This puny sword were apparently were so much better than a legendary that didn't drop like very rarely, and like, oh my god. So yeah, be careful with this, because and it happened in Anthem 2. There was like a period of time where like there was like this common pistol that did more damage than a legendary pistol. It was ridiculous. Yes.
Yeah. if you're gonna name things legendaries, rares, or whatever,
please turn up those powers to 11.
Yeah, they have to feel and they have to be more powerful.
More powerful all the time. And I think there was like, yeah, And in Destiny, this is weird, right? Because there's some, but they keep it like they're legendaries that actually are more powerful than some exotics, but they're still legendaries, right?
Yeah.
It should, in my point, it shouldn't be like that. I feel like an exotic will always have to like be the legendary, but I feel less bad when I have a legendary that is good as an exotic that when I have a common that is as good as a legendary or an exotic in
Yeah.
that point, right? And then after they overhaul all this system, like actually giving you the power to be what you want, they started to working in the set items. And it was a brilliant
Yeah.
idea of having these sets of legendaries that actually give you certain powers in your ability and explore the way that they did is like they wanted to explore some of the different like abilities, explore more of the abilities of certain characters that they weren't as popular with the community. So what happened was that once they got legendaries into the game, there were certain builds super set in each class that were the better to actually play the game,
Yeah.
right? No matter what legendaries you had, right? You maybe had like have to have like one or two necessary legendary inside your builds, but that was it, right? The rest could be like any kind of gear. And there was like all this design space of all these abilities that were not explored by the community. So they come with this very good idea about doing sets that actually explore those forgotten abilities that the community wanted um, wasn't were not explored in the game because of the way the system was built. So they
Yeah,
did
but also
great there.
if I remember well,
Yeah.
they reduce the so on when they did loot 2.0, which is
Yep.
basically what you're talking about,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what it's called around the
Yeah.
the Diablo 3 community. It's called loot 2.0.
Or
They
items 2.0 or
also
whatever.
they also introduce, I think they call it smart drops, which is
Yes.
basically that
Yes. Yes.
things for a class are not gonna drop for another class that much. So
That
if you're
much. Yeah.
playing or variant, they're not gonna drop like
A quiver.
quivers for
Yes.
you because it doesn't make sense, or they're not gonna drop mage little ones and stuffs. Like they're not gonna drop for a crusader or a variant because that was happening a lot
A
for
lot.
Loot
Yeah.
2.0, and that was kind of you get one legendary
Legendary.
thing,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, but it's not for my class.
So it's basically, oh my
And
god,
that's
flip table.
that basically,
I've
and
been
that
farming for
was
legendaries and then I
that
got
was a
it.
huge change. Like, that was one of the major changes for Loot 2.0. It's still super random, but curated in a sense that it just like please don't drop me things that are not going to be useful for me.
Yeah.
And they did another thing, if I remember correctly. They reduced the random ranges for the legendaries. So basically the ranges were
The loot table.
forgot. No, not the loot table. Like when you get an item,
Yeah.
like the stats range
The
in a
stat rangers. All
certain
right. Yeah.
amount.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
For common and uncommons and rares,
Yeah.
that thing, like that range is huge. And they
Yeah.
reduce it for legendaries and set items when sets came. Like
Yeah. To make it
they're still
like
random, but the range is smaller and it's just higher. And that helps with what we were talking about before. Is just it makes them feel more powerful
yeah.
and easier to tune up to whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because the range, you don't the randomness is not as big, and it just makes it feel way better. And a lot of these games about like getting loot and random stuff, they're not that much about like the moment to moment gameplay is not that much about making the best out of it. Is how it feels like. You want it. No, it's not about, oh yeah, no, this is the number that I'm just like
Yeah.
you don't think like that when you're playing. You just want it to feel good.
Yes, 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 yes,
And
yes, yes.
it's a lot about feelings more than
Absolutely, it's a lot
whatever
of
the
my feeling.
number is.
Yeah, yeah, whatever the most efficient thing
It's
is,
not
like,
about average numbers. It's about not like when you get it, how does it feel for the player, and that's what
yeah, 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 exactly.
drives the people. Not
Yes, exactly. No, not if you have like this huge randomness of like you can get like a lot of random stuff.
yeah,
It's more
and
about how you feel when you get the drop. Yeah.
yeah, and even for us, that we are like min max players. Like we
Yes.
want an optimized build.
Yes.
Sure, but like we care about the build when we sit down and say, okay, this session is gonna be about cleaning inventory, looking through our stuff, trying to
Yeah.
put the build together.
Yeah.
But the moment-to-moment gameplay, it just has to feel good. Like
Yes. 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 Absolutely. Yes. 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 Yes.
and that's something that they fix or that they corrected a lot with Loot 2.0. Like you want the legendary drops to feel good. You want the rare things to feel a little bit more
Rare. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the thing that you have to like balance in that kind of games, that balance
definitely.
between like give good sensations of drops to your players and the randomness that you put into the system. And as we talk about it, like there's a bunch of like ways to actually help with that randomness. It doesn't feel like too terrible. With something that they actually mention as near misses, which is the sensation of like, oh yeah, I got this item. It wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but it was close, right?
Yep.
That's an interesting sensations to have into a game because it gives you like, it either takes you a path to make a different build or to play something different. But if that near miss is too far off, then it's terrible. It just feels
Yeah.
awful. Just like you're giving
Yeah.
me trash game. Thank you. You're terrible.
There's a sweet spot for how the randomness should feel.
Yes, there is, and it feels like saying it aloud. It sounds really what? What are you talking about? But there is a sweet spot for your randomness. That's what we're
Yeah,
saying.
it is definitely.
Yeah,
It has to be random enough so that you keep playing and you don't get everything in one roll.
yeah.
But it has to feel, the rolls have to feel meaningful enough so
That
that
they're getting closer to whatever you wanna
that
get.
you're
Yeah,
always walking, even if it's slowly,
yeah.
to your end build or end goal
Or
or
your
whatever.
goal or whatever. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's absolutely true. That's what, and they did a really good job with this 2.0, and they become like, in terms of like set items and set concepts, I think they became like a staple of like, this is kind of how you build a set so it doesn't overcome your other
Yeah.
legendary items, so it doesn't become super meta, even if they like even if they take them a long time to actually balance all these sets, so they are not like forever like ruling your game. They actually like
Yeah.
introduce that concept of set items and what is the power there and what they can do into the game, and it's a very good lesson that can be acquired for if you're trying to build a loot system, to go and check what Diablo did that didn't do right or wrong.
I agree. I feel like Diablo 3, at least for
Yeah.
modern looters, should be kind of the
base,
like the standard.
the standard, yeah, the standard which you should reflect
Like
your loot
yeah,
system.
you should look at them, look at what they did, what worked throughout their story, what didn't, what in which state is the game right now, and
Yeah.
like find your own way
to do it.
based on
Yeah,
that.
exactly. That's the point that we're trying to get across with items 2.0, and why right now the industry should learn about this is because we have like a bunch of games without interesting set items.
Yeah, I agree, but that's
or where the set items are very trashy. There was like a couple of set items in Division 2 which were like pretty useless. And I think they took the approach of like giving you not very meaningful stat boost in the different tiers of the set. So they made the set
Sure.
items difficult to use with other things, not very
Yeah.
useful in the long run. Even like as a complete set item, there is like not, because the point of the set item is like you have like certain activities in which the set item is super powerful, but you can mix and match it with something else, right?
Yep.
But Division 2 brought some set items and they did it quite find it right to do that, when you can use like 2 set items and then something else on your rest of your slots,
I
because it's a
think
very difficult balance to achieve, right?
I think the Division 2 has a bigger challenge ahead because
Yeah.
they have to think about PvP as well.
Yes, that's true. That's the other thing. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
they're super. I feel like they're like the sets that we have right now.
Yep.
They don't feel as powerful because they are being super careful not to break
Break
PvP,
PvP. Yeah.
which is a huge concern.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
get it because they are trying. I don't know how much they are succeeding, but they definitely try to strike a balance between interesting
PvP. Yeah.
PvE and interesting PvP with their dark zones and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you have a set that it's too powerful in PvE, or you designed it to be too powerful in PvE,
Yeah.
even if it is on purpose, it could break PvP completely and just
Absolutely.
destroy the
Yeah.
enjoyment of people. So that extra challenge of having to balance those two,
Yep.
it's an extra layer of stuff to think of it, and it has to be like a really hard task. So that's what I believe, that they've been doing it slowly, like releasing it little by little, and kind of on the conservative side of
Yeah.
things, which I don't think is wrong. I think they're finding their way to
Slowly to yeah,
yeah.
because after the release the release very interesting set items in the raid, and those are like very useful, and they're much better than the ones that they start with. But yeah, I agree with you, they're like doing it slowly because they have to think in PvP, but again,
And carefully, like
Yeah.
really turned down. Like if you look at what the sets do,
yeah,
like they are game changing, but they are not like still like best in slot kind of thing. Like yeah, you should all run the set
yeah,
because they're just not that powerful. Like
yes.
honestly speaking, they're not that powerful, and you can do without them.
Yeah,
But they're useful. Like yeah, like I think the set for the sharpshooter specialization
yep, yeah.
can be used in the way to buff basically headshot damage,
Cool,
and that just makes it run faster. Like all the encounters a little bit faster.
a little bit better. Yeah. But
So
again, the lesson here is like you should look at Diablo 3 of what a set item feels and what a set item means and what space you should explore with it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. All right. For next point, auction house lessons and how not to do a player trading system.
Epic facepalm. Epic fail. They fail flat in their faces.
Oh my god!
I remember it.
Yeah, and I was like, and I bring you this question to you, Lucho. In what ways did trading in Warframe succeed compared to Action House in Diablo? Right,
Warframe is
because
free to play.
beyond that, because
okay, that's a huge thing, but yeah. Like jokes aside.
Jokes aside, yeah. Beyond that, yeah.
I mean, it's probably. I mean, the huge difference is that Warframe is super grindy.
Yes.
And usually you use the trading system to get around the grind.
Okay,
it's basically that. Like, let's say, for example, I'm thinking about mods or ruin mods in Warframe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you may trade for them because you don't want to grind them. Like, for example, this is a good example.
Yeah.
Some of the augments are for certain frames. Are all in some of the syndicates, and even if you max out 4 out of the 6 syndicates,
yes,
there are still mods that you cannot obtain.
Really?
Like augments, yeah.
Really? I thought you can like actually obtain them all if you max out 4 of the. If you get that
with the 4 out of 6, I'm not sure. I think that there are still some that you cannot get.
Whoa, okay.
I'm not completely sure because I don't do a 4 out of 6. I do a 3 out of 6, which is just easier.
Yeah.
But okay, let's say that I will assume that most people do a 3 out of 6 because it's the easiest,
yeah.
most efficient way. Like doing the 4 out of 6 takes just too much work.
Yeah, it takes too long because you like.
Yeah,
I
so
think the 4 is being like leveling up super
yeah,
slowly, and then the one that
it's
you're leveling up,
convoluted.
yeah, and then the one you're leveling up is like the 2 extra that you're leveling up are gonna level super slowly because one of them is losing points from the other, and the
Yeah.
other one is just leveling up by extension. It's like
Okay.
it's complex.
Let's stick to a 3 out of 6, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
I
yeah,
think is
yeah,
the most widely spread
yeah, yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah,
to
yeah.
do in Warframe.
Yes, yes,
Like for that case, you don't have access to all of them,
that's true. Yeah,
and maybe you'd really like one of the augments for one of the frames that you don't have access to to its augments.
yeah,
So the only thing that is left for you is to trade, and trade could be trade mods with someone else, or
yeah.
just buy them straight up with platinum.
Which is the premium currency. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's either that or just regrind your way from the tree that you have to the other
To the
tree,
other one. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
can take months.
Yes.
So it's basically the change is basically it's your months of grinding or of grinding
Yeah.
to to get to get involved with the trading. So I feel like that's that. And for the ruins, it's just that they have like the biggest part of the market is trading ruins.
Yep.
That's hugely randomized at all. Like,
Yes,
it
at
has
all
a
times.
lot
Yeah.
of randomness to it. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the value is
but
like
the
really
thing is
there.
that ruins are not necessary to beat all the content. Like you can comfortably do all the content without ruins at all.
You
Ruins
can
just makes
actually
it
like do the majority of the content Warframe without touching
all of it.
trading. Without without touching trading at all. Like
Oh, you can do all the content without ever trading.
yeah. Yes, this is true. You can grind for everything. And the action house in this case become like this insane like
It was too efficient.
it was too efficient. It's like like you're better off going and buying to the action house the items that you want to like actually enjoy the game than actually
Yeah,
trying to get the items playing the game.
yeah,
Why? And it was a combination of like the game back in the day, back when Diablo 3 releases, was super hard. It was ridiculously difficult to actually kill something in the game in high difficulties where the loot drops were worth it, right? So to the point where the
yeah.
most efficient runs to farm in Diablo 3 were breaking pots.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So you go to this one of the quest levels, I think was like chapter 3, and then you
Yeah.
run an entire dungeon without killing any enemies. You were just breaking pots to get loot drops.
And yeah, that has to be a red flag. Like when people
Yeah.
are doing that instead of actually killing stuff, which is the main purpose
Point
of
of
the
the
game.
game. When your players are farming in a way that doesn't involve playing the game, that is bad.
That's a bad sign. Just
That is a bad sign. That is terrible. No, no. So the point is, so and then it become like a thing about like if you do this, if you do this run super efficiently, then you can like gain a lot of money because people will prefer to buy the items to actually play the game normally. They're actually trying to play the game and then get the items that they properly playing the game, and that ruins the entire trading system. Like it became like hilarious.
it did ruin it. Yeah.
Yeah, so please don't do that.
Yeah.
And to beat a dead horse, yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, they just get rid of it, and
That's
probably
it. They kill.
best
They kill
decision
that.
ever for the
Best
game.
decision ever for the game. And they changed trading to another like a complete thing, like a totally different thing. They will like just you can now just trade with the people that you're farming with, and it has like a cap, which is nice.
It's fine. Like yeah, I mean the main the thing that you have to remember with this is if the people are always gonna find the most efficient way to get what they want. That's always gonna happen. That's our goal as gamers.
And you won in that note.
But the most efficient way has to be through gameplay.
Yes, exactly. That was my point.
If it is the most efficient, it doesn't matter whatever it is. It has to be through gameplay. If it is not that, something went wrong.
Something's wrong. Yeah, something's totally wrong. And
look back, find it.
And to beat a dead horse, Anthem has this in the first 2 weeks of the thing, when the most efficient way to like get loot drops in Anthem was like running around the open world, opening chests.
Oh yeah, that's if your game is not about opening chests.
Yeah, your game is about actually playing the game, right?
Yeah, it's about killing stuff.
So yeah, you have to learn this. You have to be rewarding through your actual play. That makes it the trading system is like regular, that you don't have these fallacies. But the Action House was like a very they wanted to accomplish a lot with it, right? They were like dreaming up this place where, oh, you have a near miss, so you put in the Action House and you trade it with something else. But when your base game is so unrewarding and it has all these fallacies, that breaks that system in half entirely, right?
Yeah.
The reason why trading systems like Warframe are good and healthy is because the majority of things you can get through gameplay, right? And then the trading is just like little shortcuts that if you're lucky, you can use. Or if you have money and not time, then you can use too.
Yeah.
Right? But they're small shortcuts. They're not entirely passing through all your systems and the way to acquire this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Basically, getting a Riven doesn't mean that. Yeah, I mean, you still have to level it up, and that takes resources.
Yeah.
You have to still have all the mods to mod your weapon. That's just one little part.
Yeah, exactly. They don't revolve around that thing, right? They don't make the trading absolutely fundamental to the game, because trading has to be like,
it is not. Yeah,
it has to be a complementary. Has to be like something that helps you, and something that is not your entire game.
Yeah, unless you're making a auction house simulator.
Yes, which was end up like happening here in Diablo 3.
Yeah,
where people actually I remember this, like people were actually doing like a lot of real money in the Action House.
Yeah.
In Diablo.
Have you ever, now that you mention it, have you ever like just Googled trading in WoW?
No.
Like if you look up if you Google for a guide on how to use the trading.
Yeah.
The auction house, the trading
there's
thing.
An auction house in WoW.
The first thing that they recommend you is to download a bunch of apps, like mods to the game.
Yeah.
That they basically show you a lot of stats and the things.
What? So what, you just play like broker the game, or what?
Kind of, and there is a huge community that, and this thing changes from whenever they patch things like this. The economy changes. Basically, the whole goal is what's the most efficient way to make gold in the game.
Yeah.
And there are some people who basically what they do is that they take professions that are all gatherers, so mining or herbalism or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they just go to a wall, they gather stuff, and they sell it on the auction house or whatever.
Okay.
To the people whose only professions are like crafters, like the potion makers, the scribes, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And basically what you want to do is, and there are other people that only care about like sniping things. Sniping in the auction house is just like finding something that is super cheap, buying it, and then selling it more expensive, and they make money, they make gold that way.
Yeah.
And that's a game for a lot of people, surprisingly. Like,
but then my question is does that breaks your
no,
your
it doesn't.
World of Warcraft?
No, it doesn't. But the difference is that Warcraft is huge. It's a huge game.
and that's what I mean. It's something that complements the actual game, not
Oh yeah,
makes
no,
like
no,
the
yeah,
center of
no.
it, right?
This story is not about. It's not about. It's not about. This is an example of something that works as a fundamental part of a game.
Yeah.
It's just an example of, look, like this
There you
happens,
go.
but it just happens that WoW is a huge game where you can basically do whatever you want to do. But it's just funny that if you actually want to be efficient on the action house, you have to download
Staying
like
on
third-party
topic.
programs that basically read the stuff and show you like stats of the things, like trends for the prices in gold of the
Jesus.
different things.
Staying on topic, you can not only play World of Warcraft for exploring the world, live the fantasy, and roleplay, but you can roleplay as a actual like broker.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that game, man, that game.
Yeah,
Something
it's fun.
else.
It's
Yeah, there you go.
not for me, but like people enjoy it.
Yeah, but people should like look at this action house and see how bad can it be your trading system, and try to avoid this, right? Actively try to avoid it.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. What you should learn about this: design inefficiency and fun, fantasy versus efficiency. So this is the point where we were talking about like the difficulty in how you approach the game, right?
Yeah.
So they were struggling about like making you like where is the balance between how efficient you get items and how much power fantasy do we give you?
Yep.
Right? That's the question that they asked themselves, right? So the first thing, it was like, oh well, how do we do this? We just do super difficult game, but the efficiency is actually on the difficulty of the game. So or oh my god, there is a dog barking really loud. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So how do we approach this, right? Do we give the fantasy and do we give power up front to the players, or do we just don't do it? Right? Do we just like treat him like super hardcore and they have to struggle to acquire anything? That is the question, right?
Yep, that is the question.
So they end up like the game was too hard to play normal, and they were not delivering on that fantasy because it was more efficient to do the game really hard to acquire loot.
Sure.
Right? So they thought they were not doing efficiently enough, and they break that. They just like put all the powerful, put all the thing in the legendaries, pump up the levels, more stats for you, so that you can actually like play through the game without breaking pots forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the very delicate balance. Where you put your power fantasy and where you put your efficiency in terms of loot drops, right? How do you deliver in both? How do you not make something break the game? How do you actually like properly deliver that fantasy to the games without breaking all the other system, right? And make it fun in the process, make it engaging, making that the fact that you are, if you want to grind, the more efficient thing to do is live your power fantasy through gameplay.
Yeah, that's the holy grail, actually. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole point. And they changed this. Like before, Diablo was super difficult to play, and they realized very quickly that they were not actually delivering the power fantasy when you want to kill all the demons.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, now you mentioned the power fantasy.
Yeah.
One of the things that I enjoy the most about Diablo 3 is that it has how many levels of difficulty? 13.
Now
it has
16.
17.
Now 17, yeah.
Yeah, like from normal to Teeter to Torment 13.
No, there is Torment 16 now.
There is Torment 16 now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So there's now what, 21 levels?
It has 20.
20
it has
levels.
20, but it feels like it feels for whatever reason it feels really nice, even if it's meaningless, to play on on Tournament 16, it's just I'm so badass.
I'm so badass, yeah. And
Even if it
local
is just a number.
yeah. Even it's just like a multiplicative percentage you can kill another. But yeah,
But that little detail, it just makes it feel nice.
yeah, it makes it feel like you're actually like going through that fantasy and you feel more powerful, you get more rewards, your enemies have more toughness, and yeah, it feels super good, that smooth transition. And that's the fantasy that they arrived to. They overhauled that difficult system.
Because, they changed it a bunch,
Yeah, because at the beginning it was like just 4 difficult system: normal, hard, master, and then inferno.
Yeah, Inferno, which was the same as in the previous games.
Yeah, which was the same. They were taking the same thing in Diablo 2, trying to bring in Diablo 3, right?
Which is fair. Diablo 3 was a hugely successful game.
Yeah, exactly. So. But the thing is, like, the times change, and you have to change through the times, right? Because what they discovered is like the players becomes much more intelligent in the way that they were actually engaging with the game. Hence this pod run and that sort of stuff, right? Because they could actually like Google it in the internet, right? On the difference when they went to Diablo 2, the experience that they give in Diablo 2 that is so satisfying has been patched a lot. He's been through a lot of work and same growing pains, right? So when they tried to translate the same like old feeling of Diablo 2 to Diablo 3, they forgot that they actually like changed a lot of things about that feeling initially. In those those original designs of Diablo 2, they changed it about because the times changed, and they needed to change it again with Diablo 3, right? Because people has the internet, right? Now people has resources.
It's not only that; it's just like Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 are really different games.
Yeah, really different games by now. Yeah.
But it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So that's the struggle between fantasy and efficiency, and like in terms of like there's some games that actually make like, what do you think about this in terms of balance for Destiny 2, for example? Do they actually deliver the power fantasy through their items, through the systems? In the majority, yes, you actually engage with the game for a lot of power fantasy to actually farm or do activities all the time.
Yeah,
right?
I guess
you're not like farming like heroics, or you're not farming like patrols or something irrelevant, or you're not like going to look for chests in the war to be like the most thing. But it's a thing that you have to have in mind. Your players are gonna trying to find the most efficient way to engage with your game. Right?
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah. And that efficiency has to be tied to the power fantasy and the core systems. You have to be aware of that, right? All the time. That efficiency it doesn't have to be the most efficient thing, right? But it has to be efficient enough so engaging with the fantasy and the systems of your game will be as efficient for people engaging with your game. Right? So an example is like the night waves. For people with little time, that is the most efficient way to engage with Warframe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? You go in, you do the night waves, but everything that is in the night wave is telling you the actual fantasy of Warframe.
Yep.
Right? And it's the most efficient way to play the game right now for people that has no much time to spare.
That I would agree with. Yeah, if you don't have that much time and you still want to engage with Warframe, yeah, probably doing the night wave is the most efficient thing.
Exactly,
and it's rewarding. You're working towards something.
Yeah,
you're still engaging with the. It's not a side activity. It's completely.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You're engaging with all the parts of the game. You're engaging with different like high level parts, low level parts, everything, right?
Yep.
And that's the point. That's what you should think when you do this kind of game. Like, and maybe that's why bounties for us is not that good in Destiny 2, because they don't deliver in that power fantasy quite right. They're like super menial task that doesn't enforce that power fantasy quite well.
They feel like chores more than
actually like playing the game feeling powerful as a guardian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the balance that you want to get overall in the industry, right?
Yep.
That is
Just
what
as
you
a
want.
side note, Diablo 2 only had 3 difficulty levels. Normal, Nightmare, and Hell.
Oh, okay.
But again, like Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 are
two
really
different
different games. Like
yeah,
really different.
absolutely.
So
So that's about power and fantasy.
yep.
It's a very difficult thing to do. I agree. I agree. Trying to see how your players are going to engage with certain systems in the most efficient manner, but it's something that I think the industry is starting to realize, right? Especially with all the audio and battle passes, when you know that you have like time deprived games that you have to cater on and keep engaged on, and that makes that your efficiency of play have a huge importance when you do when you put it into the game, right? And now that you're conscious about that, you can like put it into like put it very well, like intertwined with your power fantasy and your gameplay. I think that's my
That
point.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the point that you should. And it's surprising to me that Diablo was the one that actually struggled with this. Like,
It's not surprising. Like it's not. It takes it takes people with experience to know how to do these things, and I mean basically if you look at the way Diablo 3 was developed, they basically changed development teams like a couple of times.
yeah,
And that doesn't mean that the people who actually ended up developing the game didn't have experience at all, but they probably have experience in other types of games. And
that's true. That is true. Yeah,
it's fair. Like it Diablo 3 had its growing pains, and it was basically they just wanted to go a different way from what the 2 previous games were, and that's fine.
that's fine.
It's fine, but then one has to deal with the growing pains of how do we balance efficiency and how do we balance the power fantasy so that it doesn't feel too lacking or too powerful.
Yep.
And I mean, honestly, Diablo 3 development was kind of a mess.
It is. It was. It was. But
It was. They tried. I think they wiped completely the development of the game like twice or at least once for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, people were not happy. Like the developers, I mean, I don't know if you know
Yeah, the
how it
developers were not
happened.
happy. Yeah.
That's when David Browick apparently left Blizzard North.
Yes,
And
it was.
people were super, like people in the community were unhappy about it, and
Yeah.
he went to pursue his own projects. Where I actually find out that I love a lot of his games. It's
yeah. He's a very cool developer.
Yeah, like did you ever play Hellgate London?
Yes.
He was the lead developer for Hellgate London.
Really? It was an interesting game. It was like
it was a super funky, interesting game that a lot of people at the time considered the spiritual successor of Diablo 2.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
Oh my god. Okay.
Because
of the
David Rourke
thematic?
It was not the thematic, but like it really felt like that because of the way that it was grindy.
Yeah.
It was still kind of a funky mix of fantasy and cyberpunk weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was David Rourke was the lead developer, so
yep. There you go.
It was fun. There's this other game now that we're talking about. Did you ever play Marvel Heroes?
No.
Okay, it was another action RPG based around Marvel Heroes.
Yeah.
And he was the lead developer for that game as well.
Okay. So he went to
and I played when it came out. It was a free to play game.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I really like it.
Nice.
I didn't know at the time, and I just realized that like maybe a couple of months ago, and I was like, oh man, I'm a big fan of his games. You should check them out. You should check David Rook. It's an amazing developer.
All right. Yeah. Fair. All right, cool. So so that's a nice lesson that the game can teach us, like back in the game. I didn't think that they were like I like exploring this thing about like what can Diablo 3 actually teaching us. But at this point I didn't expect to like encounter this type of lesson from them, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's
nice.
They've been around for a while.
Yeah. So
they have done
a lot of
stuff.
Yeah. So for our next lesson, test for endgame people. When you're making an action RPG a looter game, when people are gonna grind, when people are gonna engage with your game for a long time, test for that endgame, right? When Diablo 3 started, they just test with beta testers and playtesters like the first 15 levels of the game, like the first 15 level of your class. So how much content can you see when you see like the first 15 levels of Diablo 3? That's nothing.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to get to level 15 in Diablo 3?
It depends. In normal, it probably a while.
Probably a while, but you're generally playing hard or something like that. But it doesn't take you that long, right? It doesn't take you that long to get it.
In normal, 15. I don't know.
Normal doesn't take you that long to level 15. I generally in the beginning of the seasons I go to the Ruins of Session to picking up the cube. In normal,
yeah, but
I end up like level 9 at the end of the run.
Okay, but that didn't exist when Diablo 3 launched.
Okay.
The only thing that was real at Diablo 3 launch was the campaign.
Okay.
So you couldn't do rifts or anything like that.
All right. No, but this is the Ruins of Saturation thing is like through the campaign. It's like Act 3. It's one of the maps in Act 3.
Act 3 is a lot. It's more than halfway the game.
All right. I don't know. I'm doing an example. But the point is like...
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying, like, I'm not saying... My only point is... Vanilla Diablo 3 launched without... I would say that it launched without the endgame. Because it didn't have anything. So...
Yeah.
So what you're saying, tests for endgame, sure, but Diablo 3 Vanilla didn't have any. It was basically a campaign.
It has the same endgame as Path of Exile, similar to the same endgame as Path of Exile.
I'm gonna talk about Path of Exile.
All right, the thing about Path of Exile, they have this endgame when you play through always that you start a new season for Path of Exile. There's an expansion. You always play through the entire campaign.
You have
from
to?
Beginning. Yeah, you have to play through the entire campaign.
Okay.
From beginning to end, right?
Sure.
But they have that end game in mind, so the campaign actually gets you there when you play through it, and then the end game is something about like, because through the campaign you engage with the expansion. They actually put the expansion intertwined with the maps of the campaign, right? That's how Path of Exile works. So you're saying that end game through when you are playing again with the campaign through and through again, and then you have like maps and certain things, and you have to go to these places.
But Diablo 3 was not designed that way, so.
But it was designed with that same thing, like that you wanted to like play through the campaign over and over again to actually get more power, and level up the difficulty. It's the same with Path of Exile. That was how the original endgame of Diablo 3 was think of.
I really don't think Diablo 3 had an endgame. The same way that Diablo 2 didn't have an endgame. Diablo 3 didn't have an endgame.
But that's the
endgame of Diablo 3 was to do one mission, go kill one guy.
Yeah, but that was what they thought of the endgame of Diablo 3 that it was gonna be, to like run through the campaign of Diablo 3 over and over again to get better loot, right? But they didn't test that. That's the point I'm making here. You have to test your end game. You have to test what is like the activity that the majority of your players are gonna do when they are done with like the normal content of your game, right? For example, Division 2, it feels like it's been tested.
You don't have to have an end game.
What?
You don't have to have an end
You
game.
don't have to have a game, but generally you do.
No, you don't have to have an end game. Like games can finish. Like
yes. I'm referring to this genre point, like a point. The
Sure.
genre when when you actually have an end game, right?
That's okay.
I'm referring to this point in genre. Clearly, games doesn't have to have an end game. A game can be a game, you can play it, see the story, put it away. It's fine. Right? Games don't have to be infinite. Like, I'm not referring to that. I'm referring into this genre when you want players to constantly engage with your game. You have to test for that end game, because that end game is going to be the constant engagement that you have. You have to make sure that end game is satisfying and fun. And a perfect example of the industry actually learned this lesson is Division 2. Division 2 feels like it's been designed with that in mind, that the end game is actually like entertain and engagement and engaging.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you should definitely test all the content in your game.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
for sure.
For sure. But Anthem didn't. Division 1 didn't. Original Diablo 3 clearly didn't test for the endgame. So it's a lesson that should be learned.
Yeah, but do you think Diablo 3 was designed with an endgame on mind? I don't think so.
I think yes, because with the Action House on mine, I think they were aiming to like make it a very long played game.
Maybe. It never felt to me that way, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy the activities that there are right now, but it never felt like
it was like super for in-game grinding, blah blah blah, eternal game. But I think something similar happened with Diablo 2, so definitely the intention was there.
I don't think
there's still people playing Diablo 2 right now.
Yeah, sure, but they're doing it for the lols, not because there is content that is super hard.
Yeah, but like I don't know.
The end game of Diablo 2 was to get into PvP.
Diablo
arenas.
2 had PvP, really? Wow.
Diablo 2 had PvP. When you actually killed another player,
yeah,
you got an ear that you could keep on your inventory.
Okay, very predator like.
It's a token. Like it's amazing. It was amazing.
Interesting.
You didn't know about it?
No, I didn't know about it. I didn't play that many Diablo 2. I remember playing the campaign, and that was about it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow. All right, but my point is,
and it was just a trophy. Like,
yeah. Still, you should test for endgame, and I think, like, and then I will ask you, Lucho, what do you think is the endgame of Warframe?
Fashion frame.
Okay.
Is it not?
Yeah, but what do you think is the endgame for Warframe in terms of
for
gameplay?
Warframe?
Gameplay, yeah. Actually, like hunting the big monsters, and
it's either doing endurance runs or just speed runs.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's either an endless mission doing endurance, just stay as long as you can.
Yeah.
Or it's either speed runs for the hardest, quote unquote, enemies in the game, which are either the Eidolons, maybe the Orb Mothers, but they're super fast to kill.
No. Okay.
But aside from that, yeah, I think that's it actually. Like,
but those experience has been tested. That's my point, right? Those experience has been tested. The endurance runs have been tested, and the actually and the actually like boss fights has been like properly tested, that they're actually working. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it has
sure,
to be,
they do work, but I don't know if they have like to give you an example, the first Orb Mother fight in Warframe, it's full of CC and knockdowns for the player.
Okay.
And because of that, a lot of people don't like it.
Well,
because basically you have to mod really specifically to combat knockdowns.
Yeah.
And people don't like it. So
yeah, that sounds awful. Yeah.
I actually enjoy that fight because it's one of the few fights that is really that you have to really pay attention to stuff.
Oh, okay.
So you don't get knocked down all the time. So you have to like.
All right. Yeah.
So I feel like with Warframe players are used to just kill stuff mindlessly, and they wanna have builds that kill things without them thinking too much.
Yeah.
And when they have a challenge where they have to be consciously jumping around to avoid knockdowns and avoid things, and it's too much for what the game, but not for the pleasure, but for the game is in general. Like this is only one fight for one boss.
All right.
So it's too much for what like the rest of the game is.
All right.
I like it. I enjoy it, but again, was it tested? I don't know. Maybe it wasn't.
But I think my point is like those kind of like high-end things should be tested, right?
Sure, they should.
There you go. That's my
point. Everything in the game. They should.
That's my point. They should test all this part of the. They should test all the part of the turkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like there's some games that don't do it. That they like the players discover end game. There is no end game, or whatever end game is super boring to do, and it has happened more than once in the industry.
But again, just to play the devil's advocate, like you don't have to have an end game. Like
again, I know you can just have a game where you go experience the story and then you move on, right? But if you want to build a looter that wants to expand in their content, they should test these end games in some way, shape, or form. That's my point.
Not every game should aim to be.
Not every game
account persistent.
I agree. I want to actually finish my games and move on.
Yeah, those were good times.
Yes.
Even though all the games that I play nowadays are like account persistent and
all that. What Monster Hunter, Warframe,
bullshit.
Destiny 2. Probably Borderlands 3 is it, I wonder if it's gonna be account persistent, etc.
Oh, it's gonna be for sure. It's
for sure, right?
That's the trend. Like, no doubt in my mind that's what they're gonna do.
I hope that Cyberpunk 2077 is not gonna be. I hope it's just like a nice RPG game and.
Sure, that's one game that I didn't.
It's the same as The Witcher. The Witcher saga doesn't have an endgame.
And that's fine.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game.
That's fine. Games can end.
Games can end. It's fine. You can tell a story. All right. And for our last point, these lessons that we are learning from Diablo 3 and ourselves, apparently.
Yeah, of course.
Expansions can save your game, of course, but first impressions are definitely important, sir.
Yeah, that's basically what this whole podcast it's about with Diablo 3. Like, basically, the Diablo 3 vanilla experience was really lacking and really weak for what people were expecting.
In a nutshell, this is very important. Like, yes, you can think about expansion in your game. Yes, you can make it persistent. Yes, you can have all this endgame and all these very engaging things to do after. But your first impressions are so important, man. They change the entire perspective of your game. And they keep doing this, right? They keep delivering half-baked games. They keep delivering incomplete games when they fix it later. But the damage is already done. We've seen it with No Man's Sky. We've seen it with Destiny 2, right?
Yeah, and even Diablo 3 suffers from this because
Diablo 3.
A lot of people discarded the game in the vanilla experience. They never came back to the game.
Yeah.
And it's a perfectly fine, enjoyable game right now.
Yeah.
But it had a lot of, huge growing pains. Huge.
That is why I do have a physical copy of Diablo 3, right? Because when it released, one of my friends actually bought it in the hype, and they hated the game, and they just sold it to me for $20. That is the reason why I have a copy of Diablo 3, actual physical copy of Diablo 3.
I see. I have. I mean, don't get me wrong. I bought Diablo 3 when it came out. I was super hyped.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge fan, so I'm one of the few that I stick to the growing pains of Diablo 3 and came to came to love it in its current state, actually.
Yeah. And this is, I insist, this is very important. You have like a strong first impression, that you take care of your audiences, that you don't be bad with them. Like Destiny 2 ruined us after playing vanilla game. Yeah, it was terrible. We didn't come back to the game for a long time, and we still have problems engaging with the game because it still have that sour taste in the mouth every time we go in and engage with the game.
I still do. I'm still salty that
salty.
Basically to have the full game, I had to pay like $200.
Yeah, so ridiculous. And yeah, it happens the same with Diablo 3 in their launch.
Yep.
It happens with Anthem. I think the first impression of actually playing Anthem is very good, but
I disagree.
Oh wow! Okay. You feel terrible like actually playing Anthem? Actually, like the gameplay first impression of Anthem?
It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like when I played the open beta with you.
Yeah.
I tested it and it was like, yeah, it's okay, but it wasn't anything to drive home.
Fair.
It's fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Maybe not my cup of tea.
There you go.
But I still bought it for you, so.
There you go. Thank you.
It's your fault.
It's my fault. I know it's my fault. But it's still like first impressions are very important. Yeah, you can save your game after, but getting that first like sweet community karma is the best thing that you can do. And I'll pull you like a perfect example is Warframe. Warframe was a very weird game when they released it, right? But it gave like people decent first impressions where the gameplay was interesting, the movement was interesting, and they keep that people that believe and think that the first impression was very good, right?
Yeah.
And that's important, right? You can save your game through expansions, don't get me wrong. You can like make it better, but you have to have at least the basics good to give a decent first impression. You don't have to blow people's minds. You should. Like if you're doing a fucking game, please blow people's minds in the first impression. Please deliver. Like this, like Division 2 did with us, right?
Yep.
For us, Division 2 was super engaging in first impression.
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't played in a while, but that's not because we hate the game. It's because the game, it was good, and we can come back when there's more content for us to experience at this point.
It's because like anything in life, we need to change from time to time.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, exactly.
You have to give your games time to read. Like you cannot expect to play one game forever. That's gonna get old. So we all need a
break. But it has to. You have to leave that door open, right? For that person to come back.
Oh, definitely. Like I keep an eye on what's happening in the division too.
Yeah, always,
and when
right?
New things come out, I go back to a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is something that I don't do for Destiny 2, for example. Exactly. Like I know the news that you tell me, but
but you're not
but I don't
engaged.
keep an eye for that, and that's a huge difference for me. Like I still engage with the division 2. Like I do follow the news. I do engage with the content that people put out. I do engage with the game on my own.
Yeah, exactly.
And Destiny 2 failed for me on that. Like I don't engage with the game on any of on its facets.
Yes. I engage with the game because I have a friend that engages with the game.
Yeah.
Because I don't keep like a closer eye into Destiny 2. I have to be honest, right?
And I keep myself farther away than you.
Yeah, exactly. So
you know which game is a really good example of an amazing first impression?
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing game.
Absolutely, yes.
I am so freaking excited for the expansion.
Oh my god.
And it's so far away.
So far away.
For us.
You know, today I watched this very cool YouTuber, which is Girlfriend Reviews.
Okay.
Which is a review of a person who lives with somebody to play Monster Hunter, or with somebody who plays X game, right? So it's a review of a backseater.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
You should send me a link to that. I'll send you a link. That's what I do.
It's one of my favorite review contests. It's like a Girlfriend Reviews, and it's a review of somebody backseating a game. somebody's sitting down while somebody else plays the game,
Yeah.
right? And they did one of Monster Hunter, and she like, oh, as soon as I saw the cats, I just jumped into the game and I wanted to play again. And then she was like, oh yeah, now I don't know what Capcom doesn't do this trailer. It's just like the trailer, in a war with blah blah blah, you can make your own cat. And then you saw a bunch of people who just want to play with cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a good content. And where was I going with this?
What point were you trying to make? I don't know.
They were complaining about that they play on PC.
Oh, yeah,
and they were like, and the PC release is so far away. Oh, sadness.
It's so far away. I'm so excited. I'm so hyped.
But
I want to play it now.
But they're super lucky because they now are playing it, right?
Yeah, they have a couple of months of content to go through.
Yeah, to go through. And then when the content are nearly to the end, they will get Iceborne in time. We have to wait so much, Lucho.
I know. But that's a game that, amazing first impression. It really delivered on the experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
And like it has, even if Iceborne is not the amazing expansion that I hope it is, I still have a lot of good karma for them. Like,
yeah. And I will go back.
You can fix it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. And you will go and buy Iceborne.
I trust in you guys.
Exactly. And then you just close eyes and take my money. I'm gonna go back and experience whatever you have next. And that's a really, really important lesson that gives us. That's the biggest lesson that Diablo 3 Report of Soul gives you, like 7 years ago. And people still haven't in the industry, still haven't learned this. Still try to like shape up incomplete games. And with the attitude of fix it later, it became like really bad in these times. But I cannot stress this enough, man.
I honestly think that for how much I love Warframe, they're one of the offenders in that. Like, the game was really lacking, like 2013 when it launched, like launched quote unquote on Steam. Like it was a bare bones game, like apparently. And they had like one tile set, like
2 tiles,
8 frames. It had at launch. It had one. It only had the corpus.
Jeez. The corpus ships. Oh my god! All right, yeah.
And like, and it was kind of like they okay. The thing is that they added a lot of things super fast.
Yeah.
But they launched quote unquote because they were still in open beta.
Yeah.
Like it had really like bare minimum content, and they were, but the thing is that they were aware of that.
Yeah.
But Warframe is kind of an offender in that sense. Like, it was lacking in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And people stick with it, and now it's a great game. But
all right, so you took it back. Offended. Yeah. So you say I'm an offender. For me, it's like it was fine because like at least they put the basis.
I'm saying I love Warframe.
Yeah.
But like they also had huge growing pains. So
fair enough.
They're not perfect.
But still, your first impression should be okay. Your first impression is important at any level that you deliver it. That's my point. At any level that you deliver it, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like blow people's minds necessarily. It's good that you do because people will love your game straight away and will stick with it longer. But at least if you deliver the base of the game and you make people to stick a little bit for your expansions to make your game great, Warframe is the perfect example, right? They don't blow anybody's minds, but they deliver good bases in terms of gameplay, what they're trying to achieve. The concept they were trying to achieve was clear. Right?
Yeah, it had enough in it to make people stick with the game and actually even like give money to a game through their founders program.
Yeah,
I almost forget the name.
All right.
There were people paying thousands of dollars for.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, please.
It had something.
Please, game industry, learn these lessons. From the Sweaty, the Farmer. We're giving you these lessons for free. No charge cost. Take it to heart. Enjoy them. And apply them. Because there is a lot of time that you can learn. There's a lot out there that you can learn. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop trying to like blindfold yourself because you have this concept. And this is the thing about it. I was thinking about this a long time. I was thinking about this a lot because games are art in a certain way, right? And it
Yeah,
comes to mind that
yeah,
when you're doing an artistic piece, when you're doing a piece of art, you want to stick to a concept that you want to deliver to your audience. The difference is that games are an art that you interact with, right?
yeah,
So you are shaping it with somebody else at the end of the day, right? You're shaping it with the
definitely.
community, with the people who interact with your art. Generally, the majority of art, you can stick to your guns in terms of concept of what you can deliver, not look away. And I'm gonna do just like an album with like spoons and forks,
Sure.
right? And as an entire like artistic concept. In that you put it out and that's it, right? That's your piece of art. But games are super interactive, right?
Yeah,
And you have to let that interaction take that interaction and make a better piece of art from it. It's a very difficult struggle for the nature of what games are,
yeah, that's true.
right? And developers tend to they don't deliver these things, the majority of things, and they don't take these lessons because they think they want to deliver in this grandiose concept that they have in their minds. Like we have like horror story about Anthem developers not being able to mention Destiny 2 or Diablo 3 on their development cycle,
Yeah, that's just
right?
weird. Like,
Exactly. And that's
sure.
exactly my point, right? Because they think they're delivering this grandiose piece of art when they have so much things to learn around them and they don't listen.
I mean, yeah, you should never create stuff
In an absolute
in a
vacuum.
vacuum.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
an
you
absolute
should.
vacuum, yeah. Especially with games, especially because games are something so interactive. Like I don't mind in art. In art, you can like create in a insane vacuum, and
Yeah, but even that, like,
even that doesn't work all the time, right?
and it is not even that it works. It's just that if you believe that art is an expression of humanity,
Yeah,
like we're social animals. Like,
yeah,
and a
exactly.
big
We're
part
not isolated. Yeah,
of being human is interacting with people,
yes, yes,
even if we don't like it.
yeah, exactly. And that's my point. You should learn about the things when you're
So
doing.
you never create art in like completely isolation.
Yeah,
That I don't think that happens at all.
yeah,
Like art is informed
and
by its
that's my
experiences.
feeling. And that's my feeling every time I see games in the industry not learning about the past, right?
Maybe,
Like they're in an echo chamber, absolutely isolated, trying to deliver this fantasy stuff without learning about everything else. That's
maybe that's
why
true.
that's why these lessons are important, and we want to voice them to the world.
Yeah, it was just something that we thought about it.
Yeah, and that was our deep dive into Diablo 3 and what he
Yep.
can teach us. But now we got to some audience questions and feedback that you leave us on the comments on the YouTube video. You can send us to our
Yes.
email, and you can send it to private message or wherever you want to communicate with us through like bear pigeons if you want to. I don't know.
Yeah,
Through
just
snail mail,
talk to
through
us.
mails, yeah. So we have
Twitter.
Twitter, yeah, Twitter works with the hashtag #SweatyTheFarmer, and we will see it and we will love it, and we'll put it here in the podcast to answer your questions, your dire question from the
Yes.
bottom of your heart. So the first questions about the last podcast, which we talk about how to fix Destiny 2, was that you were talking about that there are not enough support kind of builds in the game.
Yeah,
So
I mentioned it,
yeah.
and yeah, there. I mean, there are apparently uh, because I don't know all these exotics. So
Yes, fair.
there are exotics
Yeah.
who actually buff and heal your teammates. I
Apparently,
think
and it gives
Lumina is
you.
hand cannon.
That's the most recent one that you can actually shoot like bullets that heal your
Yeah.
partners every time you shoot
Rat
3
King,
times.
which works if all the people in your fire team have it. Like it's apparently super powerful.
But it's a sidearm, and you know how we feel about sidearms.
But yeah, not only that. Part of my point with this is that I don't have a lot of time left to play games.
Yeah.
And how I engage with Destiny 2 is that if I want to do something or look for something or grind for something,
Yeah.
I go to YouTube or to Google and I Google Titan build or best Titan exotics or stuff like that. And these things never came up to me. Like, that's what I thought. Oh, there are no
support.
Sure, like
yeah,
that's what I thought there were now because I go to like one of these tier list of exotics and I look. Oh yeah, it's this cheese piece that buffs my damage and gives me more grenades, and or this other one that makes me jump higher and for the jumping puzzles, and these weapons that do amazing damage against everything.
Yeah.
So there's nothing else, and that was my perspective from the game because that's how I approach Destiny 2. Like I don't have the time to go and explore the thing, and I don't feel that that's the experience for most people. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like going to YouTube and asking YouTubers and content creators like you that play the game for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You seem to have a lot of experience because after 40 hours per week of playing, you should know.
You should know. Yeah, exactly. You know what is good and what is not good.
And I will focus on that. I'll focus my weekend on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a problem for games? Maybe, but I mean, I cannot spend that much time playing.
That is true.
And there are actually a few games that I have first-hand experience. Probably Warframe is the only one where I can say, yeah, this is
a good build or not. This is good or not. Yeah.
Not even in Diablo 3. Like I rely on builds that the community put up. I don't have the time to experiment on my own and do my quote unquote homebrew for builds. I do it in Warframe and I'm comfortable in Warframe, but that's one game that I play.
I don't even do it in Magic, and I play a lot of Magic.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of time, like a lot of time investment. So also, yeah, it's fair. I don't know a lot of the exotics, but I don't have the time to have that experimental phase with the game.
Fair.
I can do it for one game, and that's the extent of. And to be honest, I do it for Warframe because I'm at that point right now, and it doesn't require that much time investment for me to keep up.
Yeah, you already passed that hurdle.
Yeah, so. And that's probably the only game that I'm gonna do it with. I have a job. I don't.
Yes, you have lives. We have more things to do.
I'm a full-time PhD student. I don't have the time to.
Yeah, that's fair.
To engage in that way with most games. So.
Yeah.
I don't want to brush off the. Sure, I get things wrong, but I'm sorry. That's what the community told me. That's what YouTube told me.
Yeah. That's a topic. Does the content creators have much influence on how the game is played, or is the meta, so to speak? So that refers to does the content creator have a lot of influence on the game meta, and how do you play the game? I think that's the most concise question there.
Yeah, and that may be true. How do you feel about it? Because for me, it's a yes. Like, yeah, they do have a lot of power in how the games are played.
Like, it is difficult because if you have, how to explain it? Yes, the content creators facilitates, like as you put it, to people who doesn't have too much time to experiment with the game. But that doesn't, in my point, that doesn't impede that you experiment with the game, right? Now the other question is like, are those content creators influencing on the future development of the game that much? Because they're a vocal minority. That's the actual question.
I see.
Is that better or worse for the game? Or not?
I think, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to developers because they're probably smart people.
And they have all the data.
not only that, but like
Yeah.
like they know that the content creators are a minority and that they have high visibility in the community. So
Yeah.
I bet that they take these things with a grain of salt. Like if you're a developer and you know like they are smart, they have to be aware that we have to. Sure, there are people out crying for this stuff and meta and whatever and builds that are powerful or not and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
But they still have to take it with a grain of salt.
Of course. For me,
like not most of the players are not writing in Reddit or forums or YouTube or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. For me, this is not a problem. Why? Because this has been happening in Magic for forever. Right? It has never like absolutely destroyed a game. Like it has never been a negative, right? Why? Because these content creators, super invested people, are like your super testers, right?
Yeah.
And if there is like
sorry about that. I hate myself.
So they're super testers, right? And if there is a problem with your game, they're gonna show it to you super quick, right? Which is good because you can take action, right? You can take action. But the other thing is like you actually have the real data of what is actually happening in the game, right?
Yeah, they probably and probably all game developers do that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a problem because you can see the data, see the perspective, and actually take a very good informed decision instead of just like going with what the people said in general.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think game developers follow blindly the content creators.
Exactly. And it's a thing I've seen in Magic. On Magic one, there is a lot of content creators in like 2-3 days. The meta has been solved. We have like super good decks. And then the struggle for the creator becomes something different. The struggle becomes finding a balance where a lot of things can be meta. And that's it. So you have content for everybody. Everybody says that, oh yeah, my build is meta, blah, 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 but this build is gonna like content again, blah, blah, blah. So you have a lot of content creation in that sense when you find new builds, new ways to play the game, and that's what you want to approach. What the content creator gives you is give you a super beta tester when they're gonna find the most efficient thing super quickly. And they're gonna give you a lot of pointers of how to balance. So I see it not as a negative thing, to tell you the truth. Right?
I can see a negative part of it in that since they're the most prominent players in a sense.
Yeah.
That kind of shapes how people, maybe not how people play the games.
Yeah.
But how people or the larger community feels about a game.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not, and if the content creators feel like the game is not in a good place, then that bad feeling is gonna spread out.
That is true. Yeah.
Like not only across the inner community, but like the outer community.
All right. Fair. Yeah. I see what's
that's what, for example, I'll put myself in the Destiny community. Like I'm not super involved. I'm kind of adjacent. I play from time to time.
Yeah.
I try to kind of keep up with some of the builds, like for me at least. Like if I want to do a build, I'll just go to YouTube and Google build.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo. So that for me is like the outer rim of that of the community.
Yes.
And that can shape my opinion, and it has happened for me. Like I don't know. So it could be negative in that way.
Yeah, in that way can be negative in terms of perception of the game can have like an impact. But for me, in terms of like what the game developers feel like could use him about it, is like it's good. Is you create a good community. They're super beta tester for you. You have listened.
I give the developers the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
like,
they're
smart people.
And, they're smart enough to like actually take advantage of the moment and the tools of the now, where the content creators and the influencers are actually relevant for what you're doing for your game.
Yeah, right? But it's definitely something to take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, for the next question, how much min-maxing affects or interferes with the power fantasy in your games?
No, my power fantasy is to kill stuff with numbers. So there you go. That's how I feel powerful.
I feel powerful killing stuff with an Excel spreadsheet. Woo! Let's go,
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet. Woo!
I mean, I majored in math in college, so
please.
my major is in math. I love math, so.
Oh my god! And
So
for
what
me,
is my power fantasy is to kill digital monsters behind walls of math.
yes,
That's my power fantasy.
for me,
So does it affect it for me? Not really. That's what I want.
yeah, exactly. For me neither, because I have like this, like after you study games, you stop seeing the games. You start seeing the games in a very difficult in a very different manner, right? So my power fantasy is exploring the systems of the games at its max, which is very close to yours, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it makes me a min max, because I want to take those game mechanics and stretch it and see how it goes and see how they react to certain like excesses or not. And that includes min maxers. That's what you do when you min max. You're pushing those mechanics to the brain.
That's what min maxers do. Like they just push the systems in the game to its fullest extent to see what happens, and that's how they find the most efficient.
Exactly. For me, as a game designer, that's the most interesting part of the games to explore in the long term, right? I explore a lot of things like design and that sort of stuff. I'm trying to see that and enjoy that. But my power fantasy is exactly that. Stretch those like mechanics till the brink when you do something crazy, right? And that includes kill them with numbers, high numbers.
I want to kill my enemies, like even to extent that I am one of those that like if I can remove myself from the game, like not remove myself, but like I want to have so much numbers killing my enemies.
Yeah.
That my skill in the game is not a factor anymore.
All right.
That I can overcome
your skills.
my limitations with the game, like physical limitations of how bad I am at video games.
Oh god.
With the sheer power of numbers. That's
oh my god.
I don't have the time to get good.
No. So I killed him with math.
Yeah. That's my fantasy.
Absolutely. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. But that's question. I mean, we should also say that that's probably not true for most people.
Yes, so. That's true. Yeah.
Beware.
Beware. People play different, they live their power fantasy in very different ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For the last question, how to balance a game with multiple exotics of special gear that fundamentally changes the gameplay?
Very carefully.
With like...
No, it's not a joke answer in the sense that if you look at games that we consider doing in a good way, like Diablo 3 or the Division 2, it takes time.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task. Like you basically have to put the numbers somewhere that you feel they're good.
Yeah.
See how people break the builds or how they break the stuff.
Yeah.
And tinker around with the numbers.
Yes.
And you will have to a lot of iterations with that.
And you have to rework sometimes completely items. You have to actually remove things from the game. You have to actually change completely usabilities. It happens. And I've seen it.
It's a lot of hard work. It's not like balancing a game with a lot of exotics or powerful gear or however you want to call it is not an easy task. And it hasn't been easy for anyone. Like I don't think any game has done it like from the get-go.
Never.
So
I never seen anything that is like, oh yeah, automatically everything is balanced. Woo! Never, man.
No, takes time. It takes tinkering with the system. It takes people finding the breaking points of the game, and
but
you're just playing around.
I think in that point it's important. It's important that you err on the side of being too powerful. That not. For me, at least.
Maybe I have no opinion about it. Like as long as you're willing to do the work, Just
that's it. Yeah,
keeping an eye on how people are doing with the exotics or with the gear.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you're willing to put the time and change things how are they required, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Start slowly, like a little bit under power, and go up or the other way around. It's fine. Like for me, it's fine. I don't.
Yeah. So yeah.
I see no problem. It's not easy task. It's just probably a lot of moving dials up and down in the code.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that in mind, you should like leave yourself a lot of dials that you can move when you're doing that kind of systems.
I agree.
Yeah, preferably dials that you can move easily in those systems.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
You don't want to like to destroy everything. But that's it for this week.
We're done.
Yes.
I had a question for you before we finish.
All right, tell me.
Now we're talking about Diablo.
Yeah.
How much did you play of the previous ones, of Diablo 1 and Diablo 2?
I've seen all the cinematics of Diablo 1, and I played the campaign of Diablo 2.
Okay,
I never played vanilla Diablo 3.
Okay.
And I started playing Diablo 3 in season 5.
Okay. It's fair. It's just for the people to know what our experience with Diablo is, because we talk about Diablo. And
that's fair.
In my case, I played Diablo 2 for the first time probably around 2004, maybe.
Yeah.
I got it from a high school friend.
Yeah.
I played through a campaign, and then it was basically a pirate copy. Like, my copy was a pirate copy, so I didn't have access to Battle.net, but we were still able to connect, to play through LAN connections.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember the old LAN connections. Yeah.
So I played with him quite a bit. It was quite fun to play Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Then I played Diablo 1 years later when I was in college. Like, I just said, okay, I'm a big advocate of just playing the classics, and I said, I'm gonna play Diablo 1. I played through a campaign. I didn't do much with that, and I bought into the hype of Diablo 3 and launched Diablo 3. Proud owner of since 2012.
Yes.
So that's it. Just for people to
know
to keep in mind.
Where are we? How much we are playing? Yeah, I played like a lot of Diablo 3 since season 5. So, and we are now on season 18. So you made the math.
So that's it. That's what I want to ask.
All right, cool.
So that's all for this episode. Once again, thanks for tuning into A Sweaty the Farmer and the Game Design. My name is Lucho, and you can find me on Twitter and at Luis G. Polanco.
And I'm The London Gamer. You can find me on Twitter at The London Gamer, and on Twitch on www.twitch.tv/TLNG, where I stream Mondays to Fridays. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to The Sweaty, the Farmer, and the Game Design. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Did you know the creator of the comic strip character Popeye, E.C. Seeger, was a vegetarian, and as a way of promoting the benefits of vegetables, he boosted his character strength with a non-iron-rich food. Popeye has been portrayed since 1931 eating spinach as his powerful food.
And did you know that spinach leaves are a mild diuretic and laxative? And medieval artists exaggerated green pigments from spinach to use as an ink or paint.
So basically, Popeye got super powerful and then ran to the bathroom.
All the time.
All the time.
Just straight up, like.
Well, that
hit Brutus in the face and run.
That explains why he's so skinny, man. Can you imagine?
Too much laxative. That's probably true. Never thought about it.
You're like. Oh,